Right, so that's the back page, and this is the first 3 flaps. Okay, so I'm just going to use that for a second. So the first thing I'm going to do on the first flap is I am going to stamp myself a large glass. Okay, I'll stamp that, and I'm going to stamp that straight down near to the bottom. Okay, make sure it's straight. Then I'm going to take the happy birthday and stamp at the very top in the garden green. And for some reason, I seem to have popped it back into my box. So let's just grab that out. There it is. Get myself a block. Oh, let's have this one. Okay. Okay, and then that's going to go onto there. Oh, there we are. Looks like I'm going to have to straighten that myself. Perfect. I'm going to stamp that in the garden green. And we'll try it out on the bottom here. Yep, happy with that. So that is going to go at the top of the paper, and straight down, straight up. Lovely. So what I will do is I'm going to add some extras to it, which we will colour in and cut out with the dies, but I'm just going to show you where they're going to go. So I've got this lovely flower. Okay, so that will go onto there. And then I've got myself some raspberries. Again, I haven't brought those out. Doing well today. So, oh no, the raspberry is out. What have I done with it? Probably sitting in front of, oh, there it is. It is well hidden and I just couldn't see it. There it is, the raspberry. I'm going to do one here. And then one on top, like so. So that's the first one. The second one we are going to do 2 glasses, so wine glass, or not really a wine glass, is it? It's a cocktail glass, I suppose. Stamp that. There we go. And we're going to stamp that one. Actually, yeah, I'm going to put it up here now that I've inked it. Another word I haven't taken out of here is the word cheers. So let's take that. I'm going to use cheers, and I think the other one is let's celebrate. So I'm going to bring in cheers. Here we go. I'm going to ink that up in the garden green as well. And that will go down here. Cheers, lovely. Put the green there for a second, and then I'm going to bring in the second glass as if we are cheersing. Yeah. And I'm going to tilt that so it's there. Cheers. Lovely. I shall do an umbrella. So that will be in the black again. That will go probably just about there. Then we'll need the straight little line to hold the parasol in. There we go. And I'm going to do strawberries. And my strawberries are going to go one there. And one there. Perfect. So that's that one. Okay, and then the last one we're going to do is the let's celebrate. So I'm going to put that on the side. Ooh. Put that up. Stamp that in the garden green again. Yep, that's lovely. And I'm going to pop that down here. So that says let's celebrate. Now we can get our other glasses in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these big ones. There we are. And that will go around about there. I'm going to bring in my other one. That will go down here. I'm going to, I've got like a little stick, which will go about there. That will hold my olive. And then I also have got some celery, which I will stamp up in the green. And that will go about there. Perfect. Right, there we go. Now we are into the colouring. So let's bring back our 3 images. So this one I'm going to colour in with Pretty and Pink. I'm going to do the dark on the outside. So I'll do okay, Bring it down. Okay, so that's going to be that. Then I've got my light Pretty in Pink to go over. Okay, I'm not going to colour it all in. Do not have any fear. Then I've got the bubblegum for the flowers. I'm using, this is the light granny apple green for the greenery. Just there. There. I'm also using the light berry burst for my flowers. Not my flowers. What are these? Raspberries. Okay. That's that one. The second one I've got is this one. This one I'm going to colour in again with the the berry burst. Nope, sorry, wrong one. This one. Berry burst. Yeah, let's do the berry burst on this one. This is all in the dark. Okay. I'm thinking, no, I'm going to change that. I'm going to make this one the berry burst, so bear with me. Thankfully, this will all be coloured in. You'll see what I mean in a moment. There we go. Okay, so that's the dark berry burst. I'm going to use the light. Come over, we'll blend those in. Then we're going to use, let me think, this is the dark and light cloud cover for the umbrella, cocktail umbrella. There we go. Yeah. It'll come down. Now all of these images that I am colouring in at the present moment in time and that we've stamped earlier on can be cut out with the wonderful die set that comes with the stamp set. Okay, so let's do that. Actually, I'm going to colour those in the strawberry slush. So they will be strawberry slush. Like so. And then I will change the colour of the actual glass. And again, I'm going to use the dark granny apple green for the greenery that they're using here. Okay, so that's that one. And here I'm going to use the, so this is dark and light peach pie. And I am going to go over this bit. Yep. So I'm just giving you the dark to give you the shadow. and then I'll just go over the rest of it with my there we go, with the light version to go over. So the dark is for the shadow and the light, which you just blend in. Obviously you can take as long as it needs. I am just going quickly for video purposes. Right, then I have got Old Olive for the actual olive. Okay. And even though that the celery is stamped in the garden green, I'm going to use a lemon lime twist for the inside of the leaves. Okay. Perfect. Right, so they are all done. We are actually going to glue these down onto these pieces of card. Now, what I'm going to do with this one is, in this wonderful dies, it comes with this amazing detail. So what you need to do is you pop it on here, hold it down with like, you can hold it down like that, but I like to use washi tape, run it through the cut and emboss machine, and it will come out looking, obviously it won't have cutted it out, but it will come out looking like that. So we get this effect. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these three down using my multi-purpose. There we go. So, come on. Using my multi-purpose, I'm going to just pop that one down there. Then I can bring this one in and it will sit onto there. So very gently with the glue, because obviously we don't want it seeping through the holes. So I'm just going to go around the edges like so. There we go. So that will go over the top like that. We can then bring in our beautiful flower, which will sit here. And what I can do is I can use like little dimensionals. So we've got big and large. So let's have a look. So these are my little dimensionals and these are the big ones. Bring my pointy tool. So let's see if I can get the little ones on. We can definitely get one there. And I probably can get one up there. Jiggle it around. And it doesn't show, so that's good. So let's just take those off. And then we can pop this in, making sure that I go over the image. There we go. And then we've got the two raspberries to put down here. So the first one will go here. And that will go there. I'm not too worried that I've not cut that one out too well, because I'm going to go over it with this one. Like so. And it's going to go like that. So that is my first card. So that's the front part to do. So the second one we're going to do is this one, which is where I made the hiccup. So let's bring in the pieces for there. So we're going to put that one onto there. I am needing to colour that. So that was the berry burst. So let's work that one. So that's the light berry burst. We can go over it, make sure it's all comes in nicely. There we go. bring that round. Silence while I'm colouring. Sorry about that. Doesn't make for very good videoing. So the next thing to do now is to add our orange cup, which will go onto there. Now this will go down flat. Again, I will use the multi-purpose. It will go onto there. Okay, I'm going to give it a couple of seconds to dry, because what I won't do in a moment is I will turn it over and we will chop this edge off just straight across. Okay, we don't need that. We're going to put our 2 strawberries into here. Let's just do 1 flat and maybe 1 raised. Let's have a look. Like that. Seems to work. Okay, so let's glue this one down. That's 1 there. Then I'm going to bring in my, whoops, I only need 1 dimensional. The strawberry's quite big, so that's fine. And that can go there. Okay, now we need to add the umbrella. So we can put 1 in the middle there. That's probably all we need. Tilt it. Now I haven't shown it, but I did stamp out and colour in a orange segment. So the outside is coloured in the dark peach pie and the middle is coloured in the, she says, bear with me, the light daffodil delight. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this in half, like so. And then the first one is going to be stuck up there. So let's just do a bit of glue. There we are. So that will go at the top. Hold it down for a second. And then the second one will go over here, like so. So I'm going to make that slightly thinner. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop it like that. And just add the glue onto the back here. Okay, so that will go there. Perfect. So that's the second one. So that now can be turned over and glued onto its green slice. And that's this one. There we go. Yeah, perfect. That one over there to dry. And then the last but by no means least, our last one. So here we have got the added extras. So I am going to pop this down, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to raise it, or am I going to leave it flat? No, I will. I'll leave it flat this time. Obviously it's up to you, but I don't want to create too much what do they call it, too much bulk for postage. Oh yeah. Now as you can see, the olive is there, so I'm just going to poke that onto there like so, and my little olive can go over so you can still see the stick. There we are. Then I'm going to glue down my celery. Put that on. I mean, of course you could just leave it like that, but for the purpose of this video we're going to stick it down, give it a couple of seconds to dry, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to cut that edge off like so. And then last but by no means least, I have another orange slice and I'm going to pop that onto there. Now before I take off the backing, I just want to make sure that there is the right place to put it. Or should I put it down there? I don't want to cover up the words "let's celebrate." I do feel like something should be added here. So that's where it's going. We can take the backing off. And that can go slightly over to the right, just there. And that again can be stuck down onto our green again. Perfect. There we go. Just make sure it's all stuck down. There we are. Right. So we've done all of those. The back page needs to be stuck down now. And I'm just going to run the glue along the edges here. I don't need to cover it all over. And then that can be covered down onto here. Perfect. Okay, so we can move our bits aside now. And we can move on to our designer series paper. Come on, and off you go. There we go. Right, so we're going to bring in the designer series paper, and what we'll need to do is we'll need to score it on the back of what we are using, and we are going to score at 1 3/4. She says she's not. There it is. So 1 3/4. We're then going to score at 4 3/4. And then we're going to go all the way along to 7 3/4. Okay, and that's all we need to do. We're going to fold these. So the 7 3/4 one goes over back on itself like so. Let's bring in the bold folder and we can burnish. Then we're going to bring it back on us. So this is the 4 3/4 back on us. There we are. Bone fold it, and then we're going to move the 1 3/4 back. So it is a zigzag fold. Okay, so you've got 1 3/4, 4 3/4, 7 3/4. So with this pointing up, the 1 3/4 mark and the 7 3/4 mark, we need to glue together. So these two. Bringing in my glue, I'm just going to. Oh, come on. Everybody saw you working. Doesn't want to. There's plenty of glue in there because it's a brand new one. There we go. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring this over on its back like so. Hold it for a couple of seconds and then smooth down. Now for the rest of this card, we're going to work from the back forward. So we're going to turn it over and we will stick this down onto the back of here. Now obviously if you prefer, and obviously I haven't done it for the purpose of the video, but you could put images on here as long as there was enough space for people to write on. Okay, so we can glue that down. But hey. Lovely. Perfect. There we are. I'm going to open up the back page like so, and we're going to bring in our final image, which will sit in the middle like that. So I'll explain to you in a second why we need to do it this way. So we're going to stick it down, but before I firm it over, we just need to make sure that there is an image on this side here. So let's straighten that up. And that works pretty well. So we can put that down firmly. I'm going to bring this one over, and then we're going to bring in the next image, and we're going to make sure that it goes over the top so you can't see what's underneath. What we don't want is to make sure that, or what we don't want to do is make sure that there is no glue on this section. So flip your card upside down, rather than over. So upside down, not over, and just glue where it's sitting on the designer series paper. Okay, this can then now be flipped back and it will hover over the previous card. So when you look at it, you can't see that there is another piece of card underneath. Okay, so it shields it. We're going to do exactly the same with the front piece. I'm going to bring the front piece over. That will sit onto there like that. But so that we can glue it down, we're going to flip it over. Okay, so flip it over. And we're only going to put the glue on this strip here. So you're just going to come down, straight down, and round. There we go. And then this will get flipped back again. 1, 2, 3, over. And that is our card. So again, the longest bit is literally the colouring in and the stamping. So these are our 2 cards that we've created. Thank you ever so much for joining me this week. I hope you've enjoyed the cheers and sips as much as I have. I think coming up with the Christmas period coming up, yes, I did say that word, this could make some amazing Christmas cards. It could make New Year's cards as well as birthdays and other celebrations. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. I look forward to catching up with you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye.